Well, all, it's come that time to do something with a couple of old tires we've had here sitting on the place for a little over 2 years. Show them to you. You can see them right there. Had those tires sitting there. This will be the 3rd year. They're 2 of the tires that came off my son's jacked up F-250 pickup truck. He didn't leave them at the tire shop when he got new tires. He loaded them up in the back and brought them home. Now his intention was to sell the tires. But for whatever reason, he never got around to it, and they've been sitting here under the old oak tree. And if I were to dispose of them now, I'd have to pay. So what I've decided to do is put them to use, recycle them. I'm going to make a couple of raised beds out of them. We're going to take you through that process today, so just stay with us. So we got the tire here. We're just going to give it a little roll, head it on down here by the fence best we can. It's big, it's heavy. And of course, trying to do it, hold the camera and guide the tire down at the same time. And I've decided we're going to use this spot right here. And you'll notice there's a couple of stumps here. One is from a huge Buford holly that just won't die, as you can see. And the other is from a mimosa tree. Here again, just won't die. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some pasteboard from none other than those old empty beer cartons that I saved up over time back when I used to partake in drinking beer. I've since given that up, but I'm going to recycle them as well to work as a weed barrier before I lay the tire down. So we'll get on to that. We'll show you what we got before we place the tire on it. So kids, as you can see, I split apart those old cardboard pasteboard boxes. I've laid them down underneath the tire. Now they're sticking out a little bit around the edges. Don't let that bother you, because we're also going to be laying some mulch around the outside of the tires, keep weeds down so we don't got to trim them. But as you can see underneath, it's going to provide a good weed barrier, and it's going to prevent light coming back down to those stumps, thus cutting off the light they need to regrow. Now what we got to do is find something to fill them up. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to be filling them up with some old rotten branches and broken off limbs from these oak trees. And we're going to start gathering them up around the yard. And of course, we got plenty up in these burn piles. We're going to use them to fill in about 2 to 4 inches of the bottom of those tires. So stay with us. We'll let you see it when we got her done. So we went around under the oak, gathered up a bunch of old rotten limbs that fell down over recent storms. And you can see the wood's fairly rotten. And you may be asking, what purpose is it going to do? Well, what it's going to do first is take up volume in that tire. The second thing it's going to do is when it is down there and it rains or we water it, this old rotten wood's going to soak up water and will allow it to wick back into the soil as necessary. It becomes like a water reserve. Thirdly, It's going to continue to break down over time and provide nutrients to the bed. Now we're not going to fill it all the way up. We're going to put about 2-4 inches down there, and then we'll add the next ingredient to the bed. By the time we're finished by putting the wood in, and then we'll add our next ingredient, and then our final will be garden soil. And we'll take you through each step as we go. Okay, I just got finished gathering up the second ingredient, and by far this is the ingredient where the magic occurs. This is leaf litter that I got from underneath the old oak tree, and the leaves have been dropping and falling there since last time I raked for about 10-12 years. You want to make sure you get the decomposed leaf litter underneath the leaf pack, because in it is where the mycorrhizal fungus resides. You're going to pick up some worms, just like I did when gathering this, and that alone is going to get you the magic going in your bed, because it's going to start to speed up the process of decay in the wood that we've got there as a foundation in the bottom. The fungus is going to grow throughout the soil, continuing breaking down the leaf litter, all of which is going to provide nourishment to this bed. So we're going to go ahead and get that shoveled off in there and leveled out. Now make sure when you're putting this in, you're packing it all the way in underneath the sidewall. Fill up that space. There we have it. Now we're ready for the final ingredient, which is going to be some top quality potting soil. So I'm going to take the wheelbarrow, run up to the drive and get us a bag of topsoil, or potting soil that is, and I'm going to get it on in here. Now, this is going to settle a lot, so don't be surprised. We're not going to be planting it tonight. We're going to wait at least. We're going to wet it down real well with a hose, and it's going to start to sink in, and we're going to most likely have to add soil to it tomorrow before planting. So let me run up and get a bag of that potting soil. I'll be back. So there you have it. We've added about half of the second bag. We've got it all filled up right there to where the tire would have sealed against the truck rim. And we've got it heaped up a little bit. Now to water it in. Now it is going to settle overnight. And we're probably gonna wind up adding the remainder of this bag. And we'll probably let it sit here and settle till tomorrow afternoon. We're not in a hurry to get those peppers in. We'd rather get the bed prepared properly. So let me jog on up here and get the hose, and I'll be back and we'll get this watered on in for the evening. So we went up and got the hose, turned it on, and this is the final step. We're just going to go ahead and water this potting soil in. But it appears we got a hose issue. I'll be right back. Yep, there we go. It was kinked. Right there. Old hose is getting old. Well, let's head her on back down there. Now that we got that minor technical difficulty solved, it's very overcast today. Humidity's at 100%, 89 degrees. I am totally sweating from every pore of my body. There we go. Now we got water. We got water just like city boy now. So all we're going to do is we're going to wet this in really well. And we're going to leave it sit overnight, so it can go ahead and settle on in. Come take a look at it in the morning. Probably water it in again. And later tomorrow afternoon or the next morning, we're going to set those peppers in it. And when we do, we'll have you here with us. So let me get this watered in, and we'll come back to it when we check it in the morning. Well, through the use of YouTube video magic, it's now the next day. In fact, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So let's walk down here and see how much that soil compacted down in that tire planter we got going on. Okay, let's take a look at it. Now, as you can see, it didn't sink down that much. Only about maybe a ½ an inch. Now, something I didn't realize last night or yesterday evening when I was filming this was I forgot to turn the camera on after I brought down the potting soil, which is the third ingredient that we use to fill this tire up before we start planting it. And then of course we finished it off by watering it in. And what we did use, and let me just show you here just in case you're interested, is we used Burpee natural and organic premium potting mix. Now you could use anything you want. You could use commercial garden soil from your big box stores, Walmart, Tractor Supply. I just happen to have this on hand, so that's what I decided to use. You could even use your own garden soil. I would recommend using more of the leaf litter to incorporate more organic matter into your soil mix. Or you could use compost if you happen to have some on hand. My supply of compost is rather limited, and I save it for top dressing plants with. So by the looks of it, we're ready to plant. So I'm going to head on up here to by the house. I'm going to get those pepper plants, and we'll start setting them in the ground. Okay, I went ahead and went on up by the house and got those 6 Bonnie green bell peppers that I picked up. Here they are right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's what we're going to be sticking in here. Now we're only going to put 3 of these in. I'm actually going to do another one of these tires right beside it, and I'm going to stick the other 3 in. Now what we're going to be adding when we're planting these in, we're going to be putting in the bottom of the holes a little bit of this Organic Choice bone meal. It's a 690, so that's a 6 nitrogen and 9 phosphorus, 0 potash. But what I do got right here in this cup, I got some of my own potash, and I took this out from under the burn pile. It's actually decayed organic matter and all the ash mixed in from burning limbs and branches and parts of trees there over the last year or 2. That'll be added in too, and that will provide the potash. Now you need the potash so that your pepper plants will produce as many peppers or fruit as they possibly can. The nitrogen is for the leafy green growth. The phosphorus is for the roots, so your plant will develop strong root system. So by using the bone meal and then our own potash, we will give it all 3 of the basic nutrients these plants need to survive and give them a little kickstart in the beginning. So now I'm going to start setting them in, and let me set the camera up and we'll get going with it. Okay, another thing I'd like to tell you kids is one important thing about doing transplants. Never transplant in the dry soil or with dry transplants. The biggest reason and the biggest provider of transplant shock is when those roots are dry, or say your transplants are watered and then they're covered with dry soil. That immediately starts to kill off the roots, and you just don't want that, so just don't do it. So we're going to sit in here, we're going to make us a couple of holes. Now remember, there's room for the roots to expand out all the way to the under this sidewall, so bear that in mind when you're providing a place for that plant. You go right here, get a nice little hole. We're going to take our bone meal, we're going to put in 1.5 teaspoons right in the bottom of that planting hole, just like that. Then I'm going to take some of that homemade potash and soil mixture that we harvested underneath our burn pile. We're going to add that in. Take a little of the potting mixture, put down in there, and just mix that in. What do you think? Now we'll go ahead and get one of these peppers out. Now I don't know if you can see this. This plant's pretty root bound. And even though I'd rather not do it, you need to loosen these roots up some. Otherwise they'll just continue to circle that pot. And you just don't want that. It's going to strangle itself. Now this is going to set the plant back a little bit. That's okay. Make your hole, and you want to just put this in just below the original level that was in the pot. Take your soil, put it back around the plant, and firm it on in. You don't gotta strain yourself. And there you go. First one's in. Make another hole. Add in that tablespoon and a half bone meal. I'm going to put in our potash. We're going to take a little bit of soil, put down in there. We're going to give it a good mix. And we're going to get another one of these peppers out. And of course, same thing goes here. You see these roots wrapping around. I want to give them a little tug. Try not to break them too much. Unmat them down here at the bottom, best you can. Just don't want any of the roots circling. There we go. We're going to get it on in there. Like I said, make sure all your roots are tucked down in. Set just a little bit lower than it was in the pot. Rake that soil around it. Firm it down in there nicely. Here again, don't strain. What you're going to leave is a little well around it. That's going to help the water. And now we're going to get with our third one. And that'll finish this bed on up. Get out a third plant here. Here again, making sure the roots are separated a little. I truly hate to break the roots, but trust me, when they're wrapping around in a circular fashion like that, whether it's at the bottom or around the sides, it's just better to go ahead and take care of that now, because they will just continue to grow in a circular fashion. And there you have it. We got 3 of these Bonnie green bell peppers planted, and the soil is very moist. The transplants were watered prior to setting them in, but I'm still going to give it a little bit of drink before we leave them. But they're looking really nice. and you'll be able to watch them grow up and bear a whole lot of peppers for us. You'll be able to see it as it transpires throughout the season. So there you have it. Overall, this only took us about an hour. The tire was free. Well, cost somebody else something, didn't cost me nothing. We used old rotten limbs to fill up the bottom portion, take up some volume. Plus it's going to act as a water reservoir. Then we harvested leaf litter from under the oaks, and that was the second ingredient we put in there, and that's really going to start to get the soil back active and get the fungi in there all starting to break down the organic matter, the remaining leaf litter, and all that rotten wood we put in the bottom. And like I say, the third ingredient was the Burpee natural organic potting mix we used. But here again, just use whatever you can get. It really won't matter. And if you have compost, that's the ultimate. But like I said, I just didn't have enough compost on hand to use it to fill up these tires. So there you have it. Hope you learned something, kids. And I hope instead of throwing your tires in the dump, you'll think about reusing them for planters. I just read today that it takes 50 to 80 years for a tire to decompose. Think about that. What other type of planter or raised growing bed could you make that's going to last 50 years? And if you don't have tires on hand, trust me, you can go to any tire shop and they'll be more than glad to give you some, because they have to pay to dispose of them. So there we have it. And I will be coming back and painting these white later, because we are in the south. And the black will absorb heat, so that'll actually be the final step. I'll actually paint them white. So with that said, we're going to call it a day and get cleaned up here, and we'll put in the other tire tomorrow. I do appreciate y'all watching. Hope your kids and learned something. My grandson, maybe. If not, hope you enjoyed it and it was entertaining. Till next time, all. Y'all take care. God bless. And goodbye for now.